doing a whole lot. Hey, I dragged that all the way from my house into here.
Good evening and welcome to the meeting of the Lower Providence Township Board of Supervisors for Thursday evening, February 19th, 2015. Would you all please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, Deb. Will you please call the roll?
Absolutely. Mr. Sergini.
Here.
Mr. Duffy.
Here.
Mrs. Ekman. Mr. Thomas. Mrs. Zimmerman. Not here.
Prior to the meeting this evening, an executive session was held to discuss legal and personnel matters. The first item on the agenda this evening is the consent agenda. The consent agenda includes consideration to approve the minutes, accept all reports and other agency minutes, and approve payment of bills. Do I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I would make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Any questions from the audience? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 2A on the agenda, under presentations and accommodations, we have a presentation by Trooper Veterinary Hospital and Audubon Oaks Lions Club to the Lower Providence Township Police Department K-9 Unit. Chief Carroll.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, if you would join me, I'd appreciate it. Tonight we're honored to have Trooper Veterinary Hospital here with us, as well as the Audubon Oaks Lions Club. If you would come forward. And I'll defer to the two canine handlers who wants to come up and break the space here. Wait, here's good. Over the years, we've received incredible support from the community for our canine unit. We reinstituted the canine unit in 2004 after a hiatus. Canine unit. We developed a relationship with Trooper Veterinary Hospital that's been ongoing from 2004 to the present day. Financial support that they've shown, a relationship that we enjoyed with Trooper Veterinary Hospital is a tribute to them as an entity and a tribute to them as an incredible civic partner. They are truly civic-minded. They are true lovers of animals. We'll talk in a few minutes about some of the challenges that they've had with Shadow, who we'll be honoring in just a second on his retirement. But tonight we're very, very honored to receive from them a contribution, and I'll let the doctor explain to us how they came about these funds.
We're all very proud of Trooper Veterinary Hospital, our entire staff, at the ability to continue taking care of the police dogs here at Lower Providence. Shadow and Baca are in the process of retiring. I don't think Matt's going to be joining them anytime soon. And we're going to be taking care of Brutus and Kane. And we did start a canine safety fund for them to try to keep them safer out on the streets. And we had many of our clients, staff, and we were up here at the community today and received many donations. And we would like to present a check for $1,525 for the canines to keep them safe.
In addition to the support that we've received from Trooper Veterinary Hospital, and this is just an incredible gift, and the way that these funds were raised, and you may have seen some of these shirts around town, we had them for sale here at Fall Fest on the township grounds, but they're shirts that have an imprint on the front that say, "My pet walks all over me." I happen to have one. It's on underneath my shirt tonight because it's true. My pets walk all over me. So with that being said, we really appreciate your contribution tonight. We look forward to many, many more years of a relationship, as you said, taking care of Kane and taking care of Brutus. Again, thank you. In addition to the support that we've received from Trooper Veterinary Hospital, the Audubon Oaks Lions Club has very, very graciously indicated that they're going to present us with a donation for the canine unit this evening as well. And I'll turn the mic over to the representatives from that club.
Yes, thank you, Chief. On behalf of the Audubon Oaks Lions Club, we'd like to present $250 check for the canine unit or your township. We are a service organization, and we appreciate the service that the police officers and canine give to us. So take this, and if you buy corn at the Lower Providence Fair this year, this is what we help do with the money. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
By way of introduction, this is, if you don't mind, Mr. Chairman, we'll move right into the next item on the agenda. I don't want to usurp your chairmanship here. But by way of introduction, this is Shadow. Shadow, we are recognizing on his retirement after 10 years of service to the department. On the far side of the room is Kane. Kane is one of our two new police canines. Kane started with us in September. Tim, you went on the street? And he is joined by the other new canine, Brutus. Unfortunately, Brutus and his handler, Jeremy Bonner, are away on vacation. I don't know how that happens, but he was not available tonight. But tonight is a real highlight for me as a police chief. It should be a real highlight for the community, because we have an opportunity tonight to recognize a member of our police department. I mean that in every sense of the word. Very, very often we're up here, we're recognizing our police officers for their time in service. We're recognizing them for the incredible work that they do. We're recognizing them on their retirements. It's a little unusual. In fact, it's the first time that we've done it where we're just recognizing a police canine on their retirement. We've recognized a police officer and his canine partner on a retirement, but Shadow's always been special, or at least he thinks so. So he truly is special tonight, because it's a little bit overdue, but we want to make sure that Shadow gets his due. So with that being said, Mr. Chairman, if you would read the presentation that we're going to make to Shadow, because Shadow's reading skills are a little weak.
Absolutely. Thank you, Chief. We have a presentation honoring Police Canine Shadow upon his retirement from the Lower Providence Township Police Department after 10 years of service. Whereas Police Canine Shadow was assigned to his handler, Police Officer Matthew Kunert, in April of 2004, after arriving in the United States of America from the Czech Republic. Police Canine Shadow completed his training and was certified as a police patrol canine and received additional training and certification in narcotics detection. Police Canine Shadow and his handler, Police Officer Matthew Kunert, assumed patrol duties as members of the Lower Providence Township Police Department K-9 unit. Whereas Police K-9 Shadow distinguished himself in the faithful performance of his duties through the apprehension of armed and dangerous offenders, felony and misdemeanor suspects, and the detection and seizure of controlled substances, which led to the successful prosecution of numerous offenders. Police K-9 Shadow collaborated with numerous law enforcement agencies throughout the area, to include the Montgomery County District Attorney's Office, Narcotics Enforcement Team, the Pennsylvania State Police, and the Pennsylvania Office of the Attorney General, Bureau of Narcotics Investigation. And whereas Police K-9 Shadow was involved in 2 shooting incidents in which suspects fired on police, and for which Police K-9 Shadow's handler was awarded the Lower Providence Township Police Department's 2 highest honors, a commendation for valor and a commendation for bravery, as well as the Montgomery County Lodge No. 14 Fraternal Order of Police David L. Hancock Award for Heroism. And whereas Police K-9 Shadow participated in numerous Police K-9 demonstrations for community groups, school children, community festivals in Lower Providence Township and surrounding communities, and effectively served as an ambassador of goodwill for Lower Providence Township. And whereas Police K-9 Shadow retired from the Lower Providence Township Police Department on August 25, 2014, after 10 years of dedicated and distinguished service, a tenure of such longevity for a Police K-9 being extraordinary and a testament to the unquestioning commitment and dedication of Police K-9 Shadow to his duty. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the Lower Providence Township Police Department acknowledges, in conjunction with the Lower Providence Township Board of Supervisors, Police K-9 Shadow's dedication to duty and his unwavering commitment to the citizens, businesses, and visitors of Lower Providence Township, presented this 19th day of February, 2015.
I think this microphone looks a little too much like a chew toy. With that being said, I'll take that, Matt, if you would say a few words.
You know, the past 10 years have been a blast. Probably the best job in police work, in my opinion. I'm a little biased. You know, you get to get involved in a lot of stuff. It's everything that, you know, you dream of as a little kid when you want to be a cop. You get to get out there, play with the dog, catch bad guys, and find some drugs. There's a couple people I want to recognize, though. The doctors and staff at Trooper Vet. Shadow has been through a lot in his life. Illnesses, injuries, you name it. Trooper Vet has been the go-to hospital for all Shadow's ailments, and for that, me as Shadow's handler, I sincerely thank you. In addition to that, we're lucky in Lower Providence. Trooper Vet is one of 2 veterinary hospitals that I would like to talk about tonight. Metropolitan Veterinary Hospital has also helped Shadow with his various illnesses, especially Dr. Tim Schwab, who has helped keep Shadow on the street. So the 2 hospitals working in conjunction have kept Shadow on the street for the 10 years. And for that, again, I thank you. It's been fun. I look forward to handing the baton off to the young guys and hope that they can continue the tradition that Ken Dooley and I brought back to the township. So thank you.
As you can tell, Shadow, there's a sort of spirit to Shadow, and there are 1,000 Shadow stories, and I think we've only heard 3. So I sort of equate Shadow to our kids. They do things when they're in high school and maybe after high school that you don't find out about until they're like 26 or 27 and you're sitting around the Thanksgiving table. And I think that's going to be the case with Shadow. I think it's going to be, the stories will trickle out over the next several years, and I look forward to hearing them. With that being said, I'd like to turn it over to Trooper Vet that has a presentation of a retirement gift for Shadow.
On behalf of the entire staff at Trooper Veterinary Hospital, we wanted to thank Matt and the entire force for allowing us the great privilege to care for your canine partners. We've had this great honor for over a decade and counting now with Kane and Brutus, who's actually at Trooper Vet right now. We met Shadow and Matt in the spring of 2004, and over the years we developed a special bond and mutual respect for each other. Shadow's thick medical record is an obvious indicator of the many visits he's had at Trooper Vet, from GI issues, broken teeth, bleeding nails from excessive training exercises. It only took a few visits for Shadow to understand that my job and the rest of the staff at Trooper Vet was to make him feel better, and that we could prescribe rest, strict rest. Today, at almost 12 years old, birthday next month, we are extremely proud of the service Shadow has provided to our community, and we wish him a happy, healthy, and relaxing retirement. We have a few goodie baskets here to maybe keep him entertained and also healthy as well for the next years.
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. And with that, I'll turn control back over to you.
Thank you very much, Doc.
Thank you very much. Again, they say a dog is man's best friend, and the canine officers here in Lower Providence have truly been the best friends of the residents of Lower Providence Township. So thank you very much. Okay, returning to our agenda. Item 2C, financial report. Our Township Manager, Rich Gestrick, is going to give us a report for the quarter ending December 31st, 2014.
Hey, thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is the financial report for the quarter ended December 31st, 2014 on the general fund. These are the financial highlights for the previous year. Our quarter four revenues exceeded expenditures by $499,000. Quarter four revenues were well over budget by $1.3 million, and quarter four expenditures were just under budget at $71,135. So we were able to overcome the $911,000 deficit that we budgeted and end up with a $499,000 surplus for the year. In conjunction with the Finance Committee, we worked on a series of tests, and we present those tests to the board quarterly. This is the first of those tests. The third test we use throughout the first 3 quarters of the year. When we get to the fourth quarter of the year, because it's based upon projections, it's based upon smoothing of revenues, it's based upon smoothing of expenditures, really becomes obsolete because we've got the actual figures. So tonight, the only 2 reports that we've got for you are the first 2 tests, because the third test really doesn't show you anything that you don't already know. But as you can see from the first test that we worked out with the Finance Committee, what we do is we try to compare the actuals versus the budgeted. We come up with a variance. See, there is a favorable variance on revenues of $1.3 million. There was a favorable variance on expenditures of $71,000. So overall, there was a favorable variable of $1.4 million, and that resulted in the surplus. Second test that we came up with, and this all sprung off of the policy that we began whenever I started here. said what we really need to do is establish a minimum reserve that we will keep in the general fund at all times. We established that at 5 to 7% of annual expenditures. So what we do is we run that test quarterly to see where we are in terms of our expenditures and revenues. What's our fund balance? What percentage is it of the total expenditures that we've put in the budget for the year? Well, as you can see, we ended this year at 26%, which is well above the 5 to 7% of annual expenditures that we have put as the minimum in our reserve policy. Revenue highlights. At this time, at the end of the year, you're really looking at a target of 100%. Real estate taxes came in right on target at 100.3%. This is just all highlights. Earned income tax, you can see, was a big mover in the budget, came in 120% of what we had budgeted. Real estate transfer taxes, if you recall, every time I gave a quarterly report last year, they lagged. Well, just like the previous year, at the end of the year, real estate transfers surged. I don't think you can always count on that. I, at one point or another in my career, did a 25-year analysis of real estate transfers. There's really no pattern to them. It really depends upon when the sales of the real estate occur. Inspections fees, throughout most of 2014, they lagged through the quarterly reports, but at the end of the year, we got the building permit fees associated with the Meadows project. So as a result, the building inspection fees finished at 143% of the budget. So in essence, it was a very good year for revenues. It was a tight year for expenditures. In terms of expenditures, and we've gone over some of these before, the ones that were a little bit out of line over the year were snow removal costs. We had budgeted $111,000. We spent $164,000, or 164% of that. That includes all the snow removal materials. That includes all the overtime. That's going to be a problem this year as well. We're already up to our budget in overtime. We're already up to our budget in snow removal materials. That's not showing on any of your reports. You won't see that even in the January report. But I've been watching it, and I know it's going to show up when you get to February. Gas propane was a problem last year. We talked about that, but we've changed our providers on gas propane. I do not anticipate that's going to be a problem in 2015. EOC operations was a problem in 2014. It's not going to be a problem in 2015. We had budgeted to go with the county last year. We ended up going back with Blackboard. This year we just said we're going with Blackboard. Forget about the county. They're never going to be ready for us. Community development did go a little bit over budget at 106%. That was only attributable at the end of the year when we did the transition from LTL over to code inspection. There was some overlap between the two of them, so that drove that department a little bit over budget. Once again, test 3 really isn't valid at this point, so we didn't do it. This shows you in visual form what I've just been talking about. The green bar is the revenues for the year, 10 million. Expenditures were 9.5, and that's represented in the red bar. The blue bar represents the surplus that we turned over for the year, 499,000. Capital expenditures, we're able to do quite a bit of capital expenditures in 2014. We started off with a much smaller road resurfacing budget than what we ended up with. We ended up because of the 2013 winter, if you recall, we took a look at Crawford, we took a look at Church. We decided to add both of those to the road resurfacing program. That boosted up our budget beyond what it was, so we had to amend our budget. We borrowed $1,012,000 for last year's paving and for this year's paving. $571,000 of that remains for 2015 paving. 571,000 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 We finished, the total cost of that was $694,000. It was a little bit over budget, but pretty much in line. And this chart shows you, gives you a historical perspective of where we've come from. Starting in 2008, we had a series of deficits. In 2012, the board put up with me, staff put up with me. We called a mid-year budget meeting. We made cuts. We reversed that trend. We turned, and everybody worked very hard. The staff needs to get credit for that. The board should get credit for that. We turned it around. We made it a $25,000 surplus. In 2013, we had a $1.3 million surplus. Now, that included a $425,000 transfer that we did from the unrestricted capital reserve to the general fund. So it was really a $900-some thousand surplus. This year, with a $499,000 surplus, we've basically, if you take that $425,000 transfer into consideration and you take it out of the equation, we've turned back the clock to before the 2008 financial crisis. We have eliminated all those deficits from the previous 4 years. So that concludes my report. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you. Any questions? Thank you, Rich. Thank you, Finance Committee, and everyone on the Township staff for doing an excellent job. We really appreciate it. Excuse me. At this time, I would actually ask that we adjourn the public meeting and enter into a public hearing to consider an ordinance amending the provisions of Section 138.6 of the Code of the Township of Lower Providence to add a multi-way stop intersection on Eagleville Road at Sunnyside Avenue and Pinetown Road. Do I have a motion?
You have a motion.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
You have a second.
Motion and a second. Any questions? Questions from the audience? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, we are now in a public hearing, and I will turn the meeting over at this time to Mr. Peter Nelson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. What we have before you is a public hearing on the adoption of an ordinance to establish a stop sign on Eagleville Road at the intersection of Sunnyside Avenue and Pinetown Road. This stop sign would be in both directions on Eagletown, changing this intersection to a four-way stop. This ordinance was prepared at the request of the police department after a traffic study had been completed by the township's traffic engineer, and that we've received approval from the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation for the installation of this sign. You have in your packets an ordinance establishing the authority to establish this stop intersection at this location. Unless there's questions from either the board or from the public, I am just looking for a vote on this proposed ordinance.
Okay.
Are there any questions from the board?
We've talked about this several times now.
Yeah, it's just a question of clarity. It's listed as Section 138.6 or 138.16. I want to make sure that for the record we have it listed as the right one.
That's a good point. The ordinance says 138-16. The agenda lists it as 138-6.
I would go with the ordinance being the correct.
Just wanted to get it on the record.
Right.
Okay.
Are there any questions from the public?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Nelson. Seeing none, I will ask for a motion to adjourn the public hearing and re-enter into the public meeting. Do I have a motion? I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, we've now re-entered the regular meeting. Item 4A on the agenda is an ordinance to consider amending the provisions of Section 138-16 of the Code of the Township of Lower Providence to add a multi-way stop intersection on Eagleville Road at Sunnyside Avenue and Pinetown Road. Is there any discussion? Okay, seeing none, do I hear a motion?
I would make a motion to adopt the ordinance amending the provision of section 138-16 of the Code of the Township to allow a multi-way stop sign at Eagleville and the intersection of Sunnyside and Pinetown.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further questions or comments from the board? From staff? Questions or comments from the audience? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to number 5, new business. Item 5A, discussion of preliminary final plan for LD 14-04 Taco Bell. Mr. Mrzinski.
Thank you. The applicant is proposing to remove the existing building at the corner of Trooper and Audubon, which is currently used as a green drop donation center, had previously been a gas station. The applicant is proposing to do some site renovation and construct a new Taco Bell restaurant. Representing the applicant is Mr. Joe McGrory.
Good evening. This application has been in your township for a few months now, and we've had the pleasure of appearing before your zoning hearing board and obtaining necessary approvals for impervious coverage and the sign package that's been proposed. We've also had a series of meetings with your planning commission, and they have recommended final and preliminary land development approval and the passage of all the waivers. We've worked closely with your staff, and we're in possession of all of your professional consultant reviews. We're in agreement and will comply with all of your professional consultant reviews. We have a series of minor waivers. If the board desires, I can go over those waivers tonight.
There's seven waivers, and there are review letters that speak to each of them. So if you go over them, that would be great.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to introduce our project engineer, Brian Hall, and I'm going to turn the meeting over to Brian to review the waivers.
Good evening. We're asking for 2 submission waivers. The 2 submission waivers would be providing some test holes or test pits to, excuse me, to, sorry, recovering from a ski vacation last weekend, so from providing test pits to test the permeability of the soils. We are not proposing any infiltration systems on the site, so therefore we're asking for that waiver. The second one would be from providing profiles for sanitary and sewer. We actually are providing sanitary profiles because we are going along the right-of-way and showing any conflicts. The storm sewer, we're asking for a waiver from providing that information. There are no conflicts to show, so we're just running the pipe on the plan as shown on the plan. Therefore, we're asking for a design waiver. I'm sorry, submission waiver. For the design waivers, we're asking for a relief from providing 0.5 foot candles along the property line, and that's along the right-of-way lines of Audubon Road and Trooper Road. We're exceeding it by 0.3 foot candles, and that's really at the 2 entrances, one on Audubon and one on Trooper. We feel it's a better condition to illuminate the entrances and to leave them darker, pull the lights back away from the entrance. Excuse me. The next design waiver is to allow for relief from the 0.2 foot candle limitation along a neighboring property line. The excessive foot candles illumination is along the common access drive on the western side of the property. We have the convenience market here and an office building up here. They have a access easement. So we have a few site lights along this island that divides our access away from the drive-through, and that illumination from the lights spills over a little bit. We're providing where it's 0.2 is required, or the maximum allowed at the property line, we have 0.6, so it's a little bit extra. But again, there's an intersection right here with the convenience mart coming through, so again, we feel it's a safety, added for the safety. The next design waiver is from providing a curb radius of 15 feet. That is actually at the entrance on Trooper Road. We're providing a radius of 6 feet. It's a reduction, but it allows for a wider island between the access of the office building north of us and our entrance. Greater separation, just that way you have less conflicts of people, vehicles moving out of that office building or office building parking lot, and people turning into our parking area.
So these first three waivers are primarily designed to add added safety features to the
Yes,
site?
definitely. The next one would be to allow for a striped island in lieu of a landscaped island. This one, it's for internal circulation of the delivery truck. We have a striped island is here. The delivery truck would come in and back up to the receiving area and then turn out. And as it turns out and backs in, it would run over that island. It just can't turn that tight, so we have to make that a striped island. The next waiver would be from providing 8-foot tall evergreen trees. We're proposing 8-foot high. Excuse me. 8-foot high evergreen trees. This is typically the industry standard, so we've just asked for that relief. The next one would be the grading within 5 feet of the right-of-way.
Is that a 6-foot height you're proposing?
Yes, we're proposing 6-foot high evergreen trees. The next waiver would be to allow grading within 5 feet of the right-of-way lines. And there's a lot of grade relief on this site. Part of the project is to flatten the site out a little bit. And what that does is raise the bottom of the site, the south end of the site up. We have to put a retaining wall along Audubon, around the corner, along Trooper. And with that, we will have to grade in the grass area between the retaining wall and the right-of-way line. The last waiver that's indicated in our letter is for providing stormwater management facilities. We've provided for some
Actually, we're of the opinion that we don't need that waiver.
Right.
And I think the planning commission agrees with that interpretation, but I would refer to this out to It was for the whole stormwater management system. What we're proposing deals with existing features. Instead of exacerbating, we're making it better.
Tim, my recollection of the planning commission meeting was that you believe that the design that's there now is more than adequate to deal with any stormwater that's existing on the site?
That's correct, Mr. Duffy. They've actually added some additional aspects of stormwater management to the plan since that original review. I think with those controls in place, they have met the minimum obligations.
And in reviewing the plans, the only other outstanding item that is not in any of the reviews is a requirement to sign and seal the landscape architect plan, the landscaping plan, which we'll agree to do as a condition of approval.
Thank you. Any questions?
Joe, you were before the planning commission, I think, back in January, correct?
Yes,
And at that time, the planning commission voted unanimously to recommend the plan and recommend these waivers?
that's correct.
And Tim, your review letter is sufficient? Finds the plan sufficient?
A couple of clean-up housekeeping issues, but for the most part, these waivers that we discussed this evening, in my opinion, didn't have any adverse impact on public health, safety, or welfare, including quality of plans. I looked at the caveat, if PennDOT permit is required, so some of these frontage improvements may be modified pursuant to a PennDOT approval, but to the extent that we have the ability to approve,
And we've met with PennDOT. We have a pretty solid understanding of what's going to be required out there.
In the review letters from our consultants, there are suggestions of a sign, welcome to Lower Providence sign, that you're willing to agree to.
Yes.
Could you maybe go, just briefly elaborate so that the residents here could understand what that is?
Well, we agreed early in the process, and I think it was a recommendation of staff at the time, to install a welcome to Lower Providence sign, because it's the gateway to your community. We had to go to the zoning hearing board and get relief for that sign, and your zoning hearing board did grant the relief. The actual features of the sign, we defer to the township as to what you actually want installed there, and we're willing to install whatever sign you deem appropriate at that corner.
Okay, excellent.
One that's better than West Norton's.
I can't comment, we represent West Norton.
Would you like that in the minutes?
Absolutely.
Okay, any other questions or comments? All right, Joe, thank you very much. Everything looks to be in order. I guess we will see you back here shortly.
Thank you, and I thank you on behalf of the applicant and also the staff. That it's been a pleasure to deal with your staff and the various boards throughout the process. Thanks again.
Thank you very much. Okay, item 5B on the agenda, discussion and consideration of request from the Lower Providence Community Library for a waiver of the temporary sign permit fee. Mike, you're on again.
Yes, thank you. The library has a temporary sign permit application in. They just are asking for the waiver of the $75 required fee.
Mike, what's the sign for?
I honestly don't know. I haven't
It's
seen it.
wine,
Wine
it's,
tasting.
Wine tasting.
wine, beer, and suds, or whatever it is, or books, wine, beer, and books.
No.
Thank you.
No,
No,
you're mixing two events.
No,
Almost-
two different events. It's the annual wine tasting.
Wine tasting.
Okay. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion to waive the permit fee for the library.
Thank you. We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any questions or comments? Questions or comments from the public? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 5C, approval of certificate of termination for Lower Providence Township Municipal Authority. Peter.
Thank you. What we have here in front of you are two documents. One is a certification of termination, and then the second document is an actual resolution. The township disbanded this authority back in 2010. It took all the appropriate steps necessary to do that. However, for whatever reason, did not take the final step, which was to notify the state of the termination of the authority. So what our office has done is put together, first off, the certificate of termination, and then secondly, the resolution authorizing the forwarding of this certificate of termination on to the state in order to complete the process of terminating the authority. So it's basically undertaking some paperwork just to tie up some loose ends, nothing no problems with what happened so far, but it's just better to wrap everything up in a nice, neat bow. So once again, if the board has any questions, or if the public does, I'll answer them to the best of my ability.
Thank you, Peter. Any questions or comments from the board?
Could you just confirm for the record that all assets that previously were held in the municipal authority have now been officially turned over to the township, and they're no longer in the municipal authority's name?
Yes.
Okay.
That's my understanding, yes.
Thank you.
Okay, seeing no other questions or comments, do I have a motion to approve a certificate of termination for the Lower Providence Township Municipal Authority?
I would make that motion.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Are there any questions from the board? Questions or comments from the audience? I'm sorry, how much money?
How much money was turned over? That was back in 2010, so I don't know how much off the top of my head.
We don't have those exact figures, but we can get them for you. Any other questions? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Excuse me, motion carries.
Jason, can we go back to the library?
Sure.
Jason, I just want to go back to the library. They're also asking for a waiver of some fees for work to be done, correct? They pulled that?
That's been pulled from the agenda. They haven't applied for the permits.
Okay, because I was in the pack, I just wanted to make sure that the motion was clear, that it's just for the sign and not for the
Yep.
permitted construction work.
Yeah, we talked to them about that. They haven't applied for the permits yet, so we said, we'll put that off till they apply for the permits. And then the discussion was that the work that they're doing may not require a permit. So,
Okay. I just wanted to make sure, because in the letter from the library, they asked for both, so.
Okay, final item under new business. No?
I
Go
didn't.
ahead.
Did you approve both the certificate and the resolution, or just the certificate? I believe there's two separate documents. Yeah, so
Okay.
I think that we need a vote to approve the resolution to forward the certificate to the Department of State.
Thank you, Peter. Do I have a motion to approve a resolution to forward the certificate to the state?
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any questions or comments from the audience? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The resolution passes. Item 5D on the agenda, discussion and authorization to advertise an ordinance amending Chapter 106-5 of the Township Code Park Regulations. Peter.
Yes, what we have in front of you is, once again, an ordinance. We're seeking to have approval to advertise it for adoption at a future meeting. Just some quick background. All the ownership and control of firearms in the state of Pennsylvania is controlled by state law. And the state law clearly states that. And the courts have held that the control and ownership and possession of firearms is only controlled by state law and may not be controlled by local ordinances. Approximately 3 months ago, near the end of his term, Governor Corbett signed into a law an amendment to the state firearms code that allowed persons, members of the public, to sue municipalities if they feel the municipalities have enacted ordinances that unreasonably infringe upon the ownership, use, and control of firearms. Not only do they have that right, but if they won that lawsuit, the municipality would be on the hook to pay their legal fees. So this ordinance is being proposed to bring the township's ordinance into compliance with state law and to prevent any future lawsuits against the township for us having a non-compliant ordinance. I can tell you from my experience, there are dozens of municipalities that are doing this throughout southeast Pennsylvania. This is the third or fourth one I've done personally myself, and I know my firm has done many, many others. And so it's, we're just bringing it into compliance with state law, and that's what's happening here.
Okay, thank you, Peter. Any comments from the board? Seems pretty straightforward. Okay, do I have a motion to authorize Peter's firm to advertise an ordinance amending Chapter 106-5 of the Township Code Park Regulations?
I'll make that motion to advertise the ordinance.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Are there any questions from the board? Questions or comments from the audience? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 6, we have some upcoming meetings. Planning Commission is meeting on February 25th at 7 p.m. And the following evening, the Zoning Hearing Board will be meeting also at 7 p.m. Mike, are there any agenda items for those meetings?
Yes, thank you. The Planning Commission will be not having any presentations, but will be hearing of a proposed overlay, zoning overlay for the recreation changes to the zoning ordinance to allow that use in certain areas of the township. And also, we will be hearing a update from the County Planning Commission about the Ridge Pike West proposed ordinance, as we've been working for quite some time on. The Zoning Hearing Board has one hearing for the following night, and that is the a proposed cell tower at 182 level.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Also coming up into March, we have the Parks and Rec Board meeting on March 10th and the Sewer Authority meeting on March 11th. Okay, comments and other business. Any comments from the board?
I have a quick announcement.
Okay,
The
thank you,
Methacton Mini-Thon Committee would like to thank everyone who attended the PJ Wellhands fundraiser. They raised $698, and they are also actively seeking food donations for the event itself. If everyone has any questions or would like to donate, I have the email if anyone would like it and the link.
Wonderful, thank you, Haley. Any comments or information from manager or solicitor?
No, thank you.
Oh, I have a question, but I can ask Peter afterwards.
Okay. Staff? Okay, courtesy of the floor. Any comments or questions from the audience? Yes, ma'am. Please come forward. Sorry. Can you just please state your name?
Marie Altieri.
Thank you.
I'm actually the library representative for tonight. And just two things. One, on March 10th, Perkiomen Valley Chamber of Commerce and the library are hosting a mixer, for businesses. They're actually, we'll have some hors d'oeuvres and wine. And actually, I think the library is going to do a small presentation of, upcoming things, that are going on there. So that's March 10th. If you are interested in that, I would go on to PV's website and you have to register. So, and then the second one is, I cannot believe it's March already, but is the 15th annual wine tasting. That is March 21st. The tickets in advance are $45 and at the door they're $50. And they actually, they have disc jockey, the raffles, 50-50 drawing, they have 6 selections of wine. I mean, from when I first started attending this has really grown and has become a really great event. I do have some flyers, if anybody is interested. Thank you.
Thank you, Marie. It's great to see you back, and we appreciate your service on the library board. Any other questions or comments? Mr. Comro?
Mike Comro, 205 Pinetown Road in Audubon. I would just like to compliment the Public Works Department. I think they've done an excellent job for these past several snowstorms and ice storms we've had. I'm on Pinetown Road, and I think they've done an excellent job. I saw them out today making sure that the sewers were open. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Primus. Please pass our gratitude along, and looks like we're not quite done yet. Okay, any other comments? No. Seeing none, our next meeting will be on March 5th. See you back here then. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll just have one comment, and then I'll make a
Okay.
motion. All the residents and businesses should have gotten their township newsletter in the mail. Thank you, Denise, for another fine publication and very informative. Sometimes I read through that and I learn things too, so thanks for keeping us up to date. So with that, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you very much for coming out. Have a safe ride home.